Welcome back, everybody. As many prepare to give tablets and smartphones for Christmas this year, a new study says nearly half of teens are online almost constantly. And all this so-called doom scrolling may actually be rotting your brain. NewsNation's Anna Koyman joins us now with more. All right, Anna, a lot of people probably don't know the terms doom scrolling or brain rot, but for people with kids, I mean, my 7-month-old isn't yet doom scrolling, but we got to think about these things, right?
Markie, before you know it, she's going to be knowing how to press those buttons better than you do. So brain rot is now the Oxford University Press Word of the Year for 2024. So what is brain rot? Well, it essentially points to the warning that our attention spans are dwindling because of short form content on platforms like TikTok and YouTube and Instagram Reels, and also artificial intelligence like ChatGPT. And it's making us not rely on our brains, but rely on our devices, and in turn causing us to be skulls of mush. So brain rot, is it a new term? Well, no, actually it's not. Back in 1854 is when we first heard Henry David Thoreau mention it in his book Walden, and he just talked more about intellect as a whole just being dumbed down when we oversimplify topics as a whole. But then we've seen these technological shifts coming with 2007's iPhone release and then the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, causing us to interact with one another and interact with our devices in different ways than we have in the past. So I talked to a media psychologist, and he says these platform engineers are geniuses, and they are essentially tapping into a psychological flaw in our limbic system that causes humans to seek random intermittent rewards.
Someone's thinking about me, and I just can't resist it. So I have to reach. Oh my gosh, call cash. I got calls cash. That's awesome. But then I'm in. And so like a slot machine, they were very, very brilliant when they created all of these platforms.
Yeah, so Markie, you think about what we see in Vegas, pulling the slot machine. He says it's very similar to doom scrolling. So what we're seeing in Vegas is something we're carrying around in our pockets every single day.
Yeah. Oh, and too, I don't think kids, people in general, are bored enough anymore. A lot of good can come from boredom, creativity, imagination, and people just don't get bored anymore with time to think. Brain rot.
Totally.
Interesting. Right? Don't you agree? And what are you doing as a mom? Let me take some notes over here.
Oh, well, I don't think I'm any genius for sure. In fact, I just did a long haul flight from Sydney, Australia to Dallas. And so we did rely on screens for that. But in Australia, there actually has been a social media ban that just passed. This first in the world law to ban social media for kids under the age of 16. I talked to the person who was leading this push. Let's take a listen to that soundbite.
There's a direct correlation between the rise in anxiety, depression, eating disorders, self-harm and suicide amongst teenagers and the introduction of social media into their world.
And so while some critics say that this ban is overboard and it simply goes too far, that they ought to make the platforms improve themselves instead, Markie, most experts do agree that some sort of guardrails need to be put in place, not just by parents, but by potentially even our government to help us evolve ahead as the human race instead of degenerate.
Go backwards, take a few steps back. Yeah, kind of a scary conversation, but never too early, never too late to get on top of it for you and your family. Anna Koyman, thank you so much. Fascinating conversation. Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.